AOC, Ilhan Omar, the squad as a whole are lying to you. They're not serious people. They're going to try and prevent all of you from actually thinking for yourselves. And unfortunately, many people will be hypnotized by the presence of AOC and Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib because they're the progressives. Now, occasionally from time to time, very rarely, a broken clock is right twice a day, after all. They'll say something in which, okay, great, but they never have follow through. And this election cycle is really shining a light on how inconsistent and hypocritical the progressive movement in the Democratic Party truly is. You cannot reform something that's sick. And so, when asked this question by Mehdi Hassan, what do you say to young progressives or an Arab American who says, I just can't vote for Biden again after what he's enabled in Gaza? You want to see a word salad? You want to see mental gymnastics? Here's AOC at the front. She is the MVP.
What do you say to a young progressive or an Arab American who says to you, I just can't vote for Biden again after what he's enabled in Gaza? What do you say to them?
I mean, I think everyone comes to this prospect and this conversation with a different history, different background, what they bring. You know, for an individual.
Did you hear that? Just starting off, just only 23 seconds in. You know, she could have just easily said, I understand why people don't want to vote for Biden. We have failed them, and we have to earn their trust again. And I've been reaching out to the Biden-Harris administration. I'm getting radio silence, and I don't know what to tell them. But instead of telling the truth, you're going to get this word salad again.
Everyone comes to this prospect and this conversation with a different history, different background, what they bring. You know, for an individual Palestinian American that has had their family killed, there is nothing. I mean, I am not here to lecture anyone. I also think that this election is more, in my personal view, I believe this election is about more than the president. And also, it's not just one election that's happening.
What are you saying? You're not even answering the question. What do you say to an Arab American vote? Here, we're going to rewind it again just to hear the question. I'm so sorry. We have to hear the question again. The question is, what do you say to a young progressive or an Arab American who says that they can't vote for Biden after what he's done in Gaza?
What do you say to a young progressive or an Arab American who says to you, I just can't vote for Biden again after what he's enabled in Gaza? What do you say to them?
I mean, I think everyone comes to this prospect and this conversation with a different history, different background, what they bring. You know, for an individual Palestinian American that has had their family killed, there is nothing. I mean, I am not here to lecture anyone.
But you do that all the time. All the time.
I also think that this election is more, in my personal view, I believe this election is about more than the president. And also, it's not just one election that's happening. We're having hundreds of elections.
Yes.
The balance of Congress, the balance of the House, the balance of the Senate, and the presidency. And I have a vested interest in protecting democracy, not just here, domestic.
Hey, who's a better word salad commander in chief? One of my viewing audience members wrote that. Who's better? AOC type 1 or type 2 for Kamala Harris.
But globally. And it isn't, I truly do not believe this as a lesser of two evils type of situation. I think about what conditions do I want to be organizing under in the next 4 years. Yeah. We can look at both of these individuals oppositionally as well, depending on what issue you have. But I would rather, even in places of stark disagreement, I would rather be organizing under the conditions of Biden as an opponent on an issue.
So she'd rather have Biden not hold his feet to the fire. Say, isn't it great that we have Biden in the White House instead of that evil Donald Trump? Trump derangement syndrome. This is all what they have. Imagine it. if you were progressive from 2016 all the way up to, let's say, I don't know, 2020, for example, what's it like knowing that you wasted that time, effort, and energy into not only people like Bernie Sanders, but the whole members of the squad, carrying water, constantly doing backbreaking labor for people who would be still loyal, obedient foot soldiers for the Democratic Party? Because boy, oh boy, were they super fast in their rush to endorse good old Joe 30330, who made sure nothing would fundamentally change. But if we don't vote for Biden in 2020, we're going to get Trump. If we don't vote for Biden in 2024, Trump's going to get back into White House and we're all screwed.
issue
Yeah.
than Trump, who is
It
not
all comes down to Trump. Trump! Ah! We all got to be afraid of Trump. I mean, honestly, if I ever get the opportunity to interview Trump, I'd be like, hey, Trump, what's it like living rent-free in a lot of people's heads?
of Biden as an opponent on an issue
Yeah.
than Trump, who is not, he seeks to dismantle American democracy. And
Now, hey, folks, quiz time. Pop quiz. A poppin' quiz. Do. Can't do too much because of copyright music, but all right, pop quiz. Which presidential administration has actively worked on getting not only their opponent from being on the ballot, but also denying Secret Service protection to primary challengers and also trying to prevent third parties and independents from being on the ballot and potentially on the debate stage? Type A, was it Joe Biden? Type B, for Donald Trump? Type C, for good old Abraham Lincoln? Or type D, give it up for Let's Get Busy Supreme Allied Commander Dwight D. Eisenhower? Which of those four is responsible for doing that? I'm going to give you a hint. It's A. All right, it's A. The answer is A.
I am taking that personally very seriously,
Yes.
because we will not be able to organize for any movement towards anything if we are facing the jailing of dissidents. I mean, this is the kind of authoritarianism
Yes.
that he threatens.
Gee, hey, wait, arresting dissidents, and Hassan just says, yes, fascism. Wait a minute. Hold on. Aren't there protesters being arrested right now? Haven't there been activists and organizers being arrested? Hasn't that been happening under the Biden-Harris? Isn't the Biden-Harris administration trying to do everything they can to get first name Julian, last name Assange to be extradited here to the United States? Hello? Avon calling.
And we have to take it seriously.
Yes, we have to take it seriously. But who can take you seriously when, hey, give it up, folks, Representative Ilhan Omar. I'm proud to stand and support our Ukrainian community and Ukraine. Nothing like forever war, because that's what they're doing. That's what they're fighting for. And of course, check this out here. Democrats help advance Ukraine-Israel aid. So that means AOC too is going to be in on that, okay? Even though she says she won't. Check this out. More war funding for Ukraine, more war funding for Israel. The House Rules Committee late Thursday night advanced a package of foreign aid bills, but only with help from Democrats, who in a rare move support the procedural vote amid opposition from a trio of hardline Republicans. The panel voted 9-3 to adopt the rule, which governs debate for the legislation, with Representative Thomas Massie, Chip Roy, and Ralph Norman opposing the effort. The successful vote allows the full House to vote on the rule and open debate on the 3 foreign aid bills, sending assistance to Israel, Ukraine, and allies in the Indo-Pacific, plus a force that includes other national security priorities, such as the big one itself, the TikTok ban. That's right, banning TikTok. These are elected officials. They are not serious people. Rule votes in committee and on the floor are typically mundane, party line occurrences with members from the majority party backing the rule and lawmakers in the minority party voting against it. But with conservatives voting against the rule out of opposition to Ukraine aid and the exclusion of border security measures, Democrats crossed the aisle to back the procedural vote. The rule for the foreign aid legislation allows votes on specific amendments to Ukraine, Indo-Pacific, and national security measures. The Israeli bill, however, will not have any amendments considered. Now, I want to pull this up here real quick. This is how you know they're going to be desperate. Because look who it is. Pramila Jayapal. There's AOC and so many other progressives in that photo. Because the congressional progressives unveil a bold agenda for second Biden term. Listen, don't count your chickens before they hatch, lovelies. The Congressional Progressive Caucus on Thursday published a comprehensive domestic policy legislative agenda for U.S. President Joe Biden's possible second White House term that seeks to deliver equality, justice, and economic security for working people. The CPC's, the Progressive Proposition Agenda, is a 7-point plan aimed at lowering the cost of living, boosting wages and worker power, advancing justice, combating climate change and protecting the environment, strengthening democracy, breaking the corporate stranglehold on the economy, and bolstering public education. Progressives are proud to have been part of the most significant democratic legislation accomplishments of this century. We have made real progress for everyday Americans, but there's so much work to be done, Congressional Progressive Caucus Chair Pramila Jayapal said in a statement. That's why Progressive Caucus has identified these populous and possible solutions, she added. Democrats in Congress can meet the urgent needs people are facing, rewrite the rules to ensure majorities of this country are no longer barred from the American promise of equality, justice, economic opportunity, and motivate people with a vision of progressive governance under Democratic majorities in the House, Senate, and Democrat White House. Well, isn't that special? But they don't care. Case in point, shout out to Nick from Hotspot and Revolutionary Blackout Network, because AOC, one of her bold agendas is supporting money for the war in Ukraine.
NATO left politician Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is pushing hard for your taxpayer money to be sent to Nazis in Ukraine. AOC is very upset that the House is considering tying aid to Israel as they commit their genocide against the Palestinians with the aid that AOC is so desperate to send to the authoritarian regime in Ukraine. We shouldn't be funding Israel as they commit a genocide. So let's send the money to fund another war instead. Oh, how progressive of you. AOC even said with a straight face that we must send our taxpayer money to Ukraine in order to defend democracy.
The core and the key that we have here is in support geopolitically and stability, is in supporting Ukraine in this moment. Having U.S. military assistance and broader global assistance to Ukraine should be one of our top geopolitical priorities.
Money for war. And yet the Congressional Progressive Caucus has a bold 7-point plan to really make things good for working class citizens. But the front and center issue will always be money for war and bailing out banks.
Because it is the key in defending democracy geopolitically, whether your interest is in China, whether the interest is in anywhere else there, all of the focus here is in Ukraine.
Ukraine banned workers' right to collective bargaining, and they banned opposition parties, including socialist parties. Meanwhile, we have AOC, a self-admitted socialist, calling them a democracy. This is why it's extremely important for us to call these fake socialists like AOC out. Her job is to bastardize what it means to be a socialist. AOC's role is to convince young people that wars can be progressive. Bernie Sanders,
Isn't that great? War can be progressive for everybody.
AOC, and the rest of the NATO left are not the best of the establishment. They are playing a very particular and nefarious role on behalf of the ruling class.
So what can we take away from this? What can we learn? AOC is going to be pandering to voters. If you think it's crazy now in April, get ready for May, June, July. And when August happens, that's when the DNC convention comes here to Chicago. You better believe through your heart of hearts that the Democratic Party is going to be rolling out Bernie and AOC, or either that, maybe get one of their surrogates to come out and say, please, protesters, stop protesting, support Joe Biden. We have to stop that evil orange fascist man called Donald Trump. We got to stop him because he's a boogeyman. They don't care about progressive policies. All what they want to do is have self-gratification, sorry for that stutter, of beating Trump. They want to defeat Trump because he lives rent-free in their head. They're not serious people. They don't know what to do. And since they don't know what to do, we can't take them seriously. We cannot follow them, and we cannot trust them. The Democratic Party does not have the best interests of the voter. And somebody like Joe Biden does not inspire enthusiasm. And in fact, he inspires something else entirely different. In fact, I think I'm going to give special guest commentary from Joe Biden himself. Joe, I'm going to give you the final word. What do the little kids say when they see you? What do they do?
I never thought I'd see a time when I'm going through a neighborhood or a rural town in the West and see big signs that have a Trump sign in the middle that says F Biden and having a little kid standing with his middle finger, 7 years old, 8 years old. Well, I promise it happens all the time.
I can see it. Hey, Jack, that kid's giving me a middle finger. No, he's giving you a thumbs up. I might be senile, Jack, but I know a middle finger. One more
The middle
time.
says F Biden and having a little kid standing with his middle finger, 7 years old, 8 years old. Well, I promise it happens all the time.
Folks, if this doesn't convince you to stay tuned to Hard Lens Media, definitely check out what we got planned for the DNC convention in Chicago, August 19th through the 22nd. We will be there on the ground, and we got ourselves an Avenger team starting to assemble up. If you don't got to get it, if you don't get it, go figure it out. Hard Lens Media is going to be live and direct. We're not stopping for nobody. And as for people like AOC and Ilhan Omar, they had their time to be champions. They had their time to fight for the people. But instead, they suffer from Trump derangement syndrome. And if you're going to let somebody live rent-free in your head for that long, it tells me that you're more of a hindrance and a problem, and that basically this job is too much for you.